Empowered, podcast that equips the church, parents, leaders, and the next generation. Hosted by Paul Sperlin, Caleb Sampson, Jerry Elder, and Caleb Norwood. 4 voices, 1 mission: to build stronger ministries, faithful families, and disciples that last. Real talk, real tools, real encouragement. This is Empowered, and it starts now in the Ministry League Network.
Welcome to the Empowered Podcast, brought to you by Ministry League at ministryleague.com. I'm joined, as always, in this 4th episode with Jerry, Caleb, and Caleb. This is 4 voices, 1 mission, and 1 voice. That's 4 voices, but whatever. Anyway, we're happy to be with you, and this is the show, and these are the guys.
So, Paul, how are you today?
Hello, Paul. Hello, Caleb, and hello, Norwood.
Good. Good.
Paul, I love your shirt, man. Your shirt looks pretty awesome.
I love your shirt, Jerry. It looks pretty awesome there.
Yeah. So,
as we are preparing for the topic, and I think before we get into the topic, this is our 4th episode. Appreciate y'all for being with us. We are excited about what's happening here. This show really is about getting into the summer schedule, which is good because now, guess what? We're in the summer schedule, so it works out pretty well.
Yeah.
I hope you like that because you'll probably sing it a lot. So.
I got a feeling that's going to appear just randomly. I mean,
right?
You never know.
So, Caleb,
that's the power of.
That also tells me be careful what you do here because it'll come back to you.
Right. That's exactly what that says. So, Caleb, what is your favorite event of the summer? And what do you do to prepare for it?
Favorite event with youth is usually a mission trip, but I've changed my thinking a little bit in the last couple of years. I used to detest Vacation Bible School. It just was one of those things that seemed like we had to do it. Everybody has to do it. And we don't reach out very well. And, it's just, you never know how many people are going to be there or how many aren't. And, but then I got to talking to my dad about his conversion story. And he was the youngest of 7 children. And his oldest sister was invited to walk 2 miles to the Antioch Church of Christ. Jerry, you're probably familiar with that out there in the country by Columbia. Walk 2 miles and come to VBS. And she had no idea what that was, but she walked up there and she decided it was pretty neat the first night and drug all of her siblings back. Because of that, they didn't grow up in a Christian home. But because of that, we had 2 ministers, my dad and his brother, that became ministers. And then 2 of his sisters married ministers. And then we have quite a few from the next generation that became ministers. So it flipped my switch on Vacation Bible School. That it is and can be evangelistic. It just depends on how you do it, and it can be great for the kids. So it turned my attitude.
Almost a timeout here. Are we going to do a whole show on VBS? And I'm okay if we are, because
I think we should.
Okay, then I won't say a whole lot about that.
Hey, I tell you what. Let's do this. Let's not do a lot on VBS. Let's talk a little bit about it. But if people want to comment, would you like to see
a show about VBS?
And things like that? So leave your comments down on the bottom line there, and or you can send them to the email at
at ministry.com. We could. But so that being said, I'm going to speak for a youth minister. I'm not a youth minister anymore, but I can tell you most youth ministers probably don't like VBS because VBS is usually a kindergarten, 5th grade thing. I know you love it. You love everything, Jerry. You're perfect. But
I love VBS.
But okay, and some do. But some guys that spend their life with teenagers don't want to stop and spend a week with the little kids because that's not the purview of their work. Now, to be honest with you, nowadays, most congregations will make a youth minister do, kindergarten through 12th grade, which is a lot. Depending on the size congregation, I know it all changes. But I think that's a mentality that's a part of it. And I'm the same way with Caleb on that. I used to, I could care less about it. I think once your kids are in it, you care more about it, and they go through it, and you see the effects of it. So I'll stop the VBS on that. But it is different for everybody, I think. But it's definitely a summer event we all got to deal with.
Yeah.
I like the way he put that. Got to deal with it.
Yeah.
On the schedule. On the schedule. Oh, great. It's gonna do my blood. So there's that. I shouldn't have. But the thing of it is, though, the summer schedule can be crazy. It can be chaotic, and sometimes it's almost like we've got to fill in every white box on that schedule, that summer schedule, to do that. Now, let's take you back a bit. Me and Jerry can relate to this better than most folks can. We used to have, sorry, Caleb, we used to have 3.5 months for a summer schedule.
Yeah.
And over the last 10, 15 years, that's shortened and shrinking to June, July. That's it. And what we're doing is we're still trying to get those 3 months of stuff in 2 months. And that's why our schedules are crazy. I had an elder once that said it's okay to have a white box every now and then. Breathe. And I get that. But we still have events. We have things going on outside of what we do here. And the kids enjoy and they grow from it. And so we don't want to not do camp. We don't want to not do that event or this event. So there's a lot of things to it, good, bad, and ugly. And that's what all this show is about today.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think
what about you, Norwood? What
a lot of it. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to ask Norwood
Sorry,
what summer event you have that.
So it kind of my favorite summer event. It depends on the year, okay? And why I say it depends on the year is there's some events that only happen every other year, because of time and because of everything else. So I love our Atlanta trip that we do, and we only get to do that every other year. And so I love.
I'll miss you.
I know. I'm sorry.
This is the year. That's why I said that.
Yeah. So I love that, but I love camp. I love church camp. It is a time where I can literally throw my phone away because it's worthless at that moment because I'm not going to get service anyway. So, I mean, it's literally a week where I can completely disconnect from the world around me, and I can just focus on my relationship with God, with the kids' relationship with God, my relationship with everybody at the camp. So I love church camp. I get super excited about that.
That's neat. We used to do an event everywhere I've been. We call it the True Colors Retreat. And we would literally get different color shirts and put people in different groups. It kind of took the exposure, team time thing. You put everybody in different teams and they do different things, but it's our youth group. And we started it by calling it Freed Camp or Faulkner Camp. I got that from Alani Jones. We'd go to different schools and we'd have just time with just us. Clayton Chapel was our home base. We would have all the devotionals there. We'd do everything in that room and they'd stay in dorms. So it'd be cool. And now we go to Naoti and other places, but it's summer's over. Not summer's over, but school's over. Summer hadn't quite yet started. It's Memorial Day weekend or the weekend before that or right after that. And we get our people away and focus on us before we do anything else in the summertime. We get ready. And the t-shirt will probably have like a concert look on the back of all the dates of all the things we do. You know how it goes. And so we really hone in on us, our strengths, our weaknesses, what can we do better, and our true colors, showing who we truly are as the summer kicks off. So that was definitely one of my favorite events we ever did.
Mm-hmm.
I guess one of my favorite things that recently, I like camp. I like Horizons. I'm kind of like the camp addict though. Okay. Cause I've got Murray Christian Camp, our local camp. We have 2 weeks of that. And then I have a K-3 kids camp at my house. And then I have Horizons that takes place. And then we do like a 4th grade, trip. All of it's kind of like the camp atmosphere. And so I'm just like the camp addict. And the reason why this is going to sound strange, I didn't get to go to church camp when I was little. There was not. that I could go to, and we couldn't afford it either. And so, uh, but that was just it. So now then, I'm just still being a kid, and so and enjoying all the camps that I get to go to.
Well, I think that's I think it's something about camp, especially for adults. We get to look back at how we were as kids, and of course, you know, Jerry has that special knack of having that connection with those kids, regardless of when. So imagine if he did have that. What would camp be with Jerry Older, knowing that he had been there? But I think getting away, getting out of the woods, getting a little bit of air conditioning, but I think getting away and still seeing familiar faces in a I won't say odd, but a different atmosphere. I think it really hones in on being able to let your hair down a little bit, and I think that's kind of the benefit of camp, and it's well, some of us can't let our hair down. Some of our hair is already
Why'd you have
down.
to say
But,
that?
yeah, well, I was fine until you start shaking your head, so I had to comment to it. So there's that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So okay. So Jerry, how do you manage your summer calendar? Or do you?
It's out of control, so I'm not sure he manages it very well. I'm just kidding.
So,
Oh no.
so physically, I honestly, personally, I prepare my mind. I try to prepare my body to go through 8 grueling weeks. And I hate to use the word grueling because the grueling is great. Everything that we do is fantastic. It's fun, and I think honestly, to be honest with you, I think the spiritual growth that I get from all of this honestly helps me through
Yeah.
all of this. Yeah, I'll
That's the
come
rewarding
back
part.
after a week. Do what?
That's the rewarding part for sure.
Yeah, that's the rewarding part of this.
Mhm.
But as far as the lineup of it, it's kind of like what Paul said. You've got to place a dead spot in that time, someplace to recoup. I know that whenever I get back home from week 1 of Murray Christian Camp on Friday, I've got from Friday to Sunday to get recouped a little bit. But there's also things I've got to take care of at home. I've got my wife, I've got grandkids, I've got my family, I've got my dogs. Those are things that I still have to give attention to. But I just know what the next thing is, and I know that it's going to do that. I'm thankful that I've got a family that understands that this is about the Lord. It ain't about Jerry Older. But so I plan everything out, and it's broad scope because again, we talked about very briefly of VBS and all of these camps and these events you take a place and trips you take, mission trips. You've got to be planned in your mind. You got to plan your mind physically and spiritually to know that this is what you're going to do for the next 8 to 10 weeks of your life, and just love it.
I think when you spend all school year doing school year stuff, when summertime hits, it's like everybody's looking forward to it. They expect it, and it's part of that consistency. I think we talked about a couple of weeks ago that in ministry, completely through your monthly schedule through school year, they expect certain things at certain times. The same thing as in summertime. It's almost like it's a huge hole in the ground that has to be filled up, and it's the youth minister's job or the minister's job to make sure that happens. And it's a big responsibility because a lot of planning goes into it. A lot of planning goes into for creating a summer calendar. And I'm curious, and I'm sure y'all probably did it this way too. But you had a meeting probably at the end of April, 1st of May. You will go ahead and you create a cool graphic for your summer where it kind of is attractive and it's something they want to put on their fridge so they know what's happening. But guys, how do you do that? What's the planning process before a summer starts, and what do you do in getting it there? And Norwood probably hit on this, getting it there, but also sharing that with the congregation. Norwood, let's start with you because you did give me the idea on that deal.
Yeah. So what we do is we have this. I mean, I start in January. I start in January,
I
and
get it.
I have, depending on the year, I basically have a skeleton
Mhm.
of a summer. You know, you're gonna have church camp, you're gonna have VBS. Your VBS is gonna be the same time every year, or at
Mhm.
least at Henderson it is. Church camp's the same time, VBS the same time, and then you've got Horizons that is always the same time. Not necessarily the same days. Found that out the hard way.
True that.
Um, but same time. Um, and so then you've got the other thing that you've got is your dead period for your sports teams. And so if you're going to do a mission trip, you're going to want to plan around that. And if you're going to do an Atlanta trip or an event that's not necessarily fully spiritually focused, you're going to want to plan around that. And so I start in January as best as I can, and then I have my basic skeleton, and then I fill it in. And what I do is like we've been saying, I try to have white spaces, because not too many white spaces, but I want some white spaces for me, for the kids, because the kids can also get burnt out too, by doing so much of just
Mhm.
everything. And so making sure that that's being hit, being sure that some fun events are being hit, but also making sure that I am spiritually nourishing my kids during the summer too. The summer is when I can really, really, really pour into my kids spiritually.
Mhm.
And so just making sure that I can do that. I send those graphics out typically by April. And then so that way they have it. I'm sending it every week. I'm sending updates. I'm sending all this stuff. And and so yeah, that's just kind of what I try to do.
Jerry, what is your prep and Dell when it comes to your summer?
Hey, y'all, come on, let's go.
Get in the back of the wagon. Let's head out.
Get in the wagon. Let's go.
See you in 2 months.
It's a lot. Yeah, exactly. It's kind of like what Caleb has already mentioned. Look, everything is on the calendar. The consistent things are on the calendar. We know that these things are going to be in place. There will be some other things that will be in addition to of things. Of course, a lot of us, we've got interns coming in to work with us in the summertime. So that's another factor of a different show at a different time of talking about what their role will be in assisting us throughout this, the 60, 62, 65 days that they're going to come and work and serve with us in that capacity. So, but everything, and that you've got to be flexible, got to have some flexibility in there, because there's some things that you may have to say, got to drop that one. And parents have to understand, and kids, and think about it, is youth kids understand it. Youth kids will understand. Well, you said you were going to do this. Yeah, you're right, but guess what? The timing is really not right for this right now, because or A, B, C, D. Make the excuse you want to, or maybe it's just like our kids need a break. Our kids need a break from this. So yeah, and then it's out. It starts coming out. It's actually on it's on a board. It's in their emails. It's everything. They've already got it in their pocket right now. Like here we are, May. I'm just pounding it now. I'm sending out messages. Hey, by the way, camp's 10 days away from now. Camp's 14 days away from now. And I'm just pounding it, because registration is closed for camps. But now then I've got to get them ready for camp. And then you've got all this other stuff of graduations and stuff taking place. So trying to just get everything ready to go. So, and that's like I said, I'm trying to, even myself, to take a couple of days to breathe before I turn the switch and go. I'm going to take a little break.
One of those things too, I think that we as ministers need to understand is that we build these summers, and I'm not talking about just a youth schedule, but in general, a schedule.
Yeah.
Don't expect everybody to attend every little thing. They need a break. They don't have the Energizer Bunny thing going on like some of us have built within ourselves to do that. But Samson, talk about that a little bit about also, what experience have you had in preparing that kind of summer schedule, but allow them not to feel like it's okay. It's okay if you don't go to all. We get that. Speak to that if you don't mind.
Sure. Well, first of all, on the planning side of it, I learned a long time ago that I'm not a particularly organized person, so I have to start way ahead. And what I prefer is a congregational planning. Meet with leadership in the fall of the year and start working on and have a document that has kind of like a theme for the year and what main events that we want to have. And we already, January 1st, that calendar comes out with here's the things that we tentatively see on the horizon.
Mhm.
And then as it gets closer for each one, I start to, build more into it. But yeah, the idea that you have to be at everything, obviously as the minister, we want them at everything. We want them to be encouraged and to have that fellowship and to not miss out. And people are hopefully, if it's a good event, people are going to be talking about it afterwards. And then you got kids with the fear of missing out, FOMO, and stuff like that. So, um, you know, the idea that if you need time to do your thing or downtime, there's a lot of places in the Bible that talk about rest, and we can overpack everything. So I don't want to say it's like a buffet. I don't want people to just pick and choose certain things, but to know it's okay not to be at everything.
Mhm.
And I've heard Jerry make this point many times. Make it the best you can for whoever shows up, and don't worry or stress about the people that aren't there.
Mhm.
And if you have two people show up, have that thing and make it great and make it memorable for them. Don't cancel it and send them home and say, "Well, we didn't have a crowd, so we didn't do it." But just enjoy it.
That's a good point. One thing I want to say too, and let this lead into sort of the round table and we'll finish with Jerry and he can take us out, is try to create a summer. And I guess this is specifically for a youth group, but try to create a summer that will reach every kid.
Mm.
You won't get every kid every event, but have different things for different kids. You may stave off the lock in, or you may love it. I don't know, but that's the event that is indoors that you can have things for kids who want to be indoors, and then go to Bible camp for those who want to go to Bible camp. I think we need to look at all people, and it's not just youth ministry; it's ministry in general. Is when you create something, make sure you find ways to get not hit all members, but to get all members to be a part of
Mhm.
those things. I think,
Yeah.
and so we'll kind of go around the room and speak to that, and then we'll let Jerry finish us out. Norwood.
One of the things that so my co-youth minister said that they did, I don't know, a couple of years ago. This was before my time. Was there was a high um interest in athletic kids in the youth group, but also band kids and musical kids in the youth group. And one of the kids who was interested in more music and band came up to Jared and was like, "Hey, why don't we only do sports events?" And he was like, "All right, find something that you would want to be interested in. Let's do it." And so they actually went to DCI, the DCI in Nashville, which is Drum Corps International. It's really really cool. And so they took the youth group to do that. And so that was really cool. So just speaking to, hey, what is your kids specifically for youth ministers? What is your group makeup? And make sure that you're not just focusing on the sports teams or
Hmm.
that you're just focusing on um, camp, making sure that everybody, because there's some people who don't like the outdoors. And so making sure you do have things that are inside that they like too.
Good call, Samson.
Um, I don't know. Jerry, take it away.
Jerry, you got it.
Uh, so yeah, summers can be hectic. Uh, but summers and we focused primarily on this when more talking about young people, youth groups, activities, calendars, and stuff like that. The church calendar itself as a whole, I don't want to say needs to be busy, but it needs to be ministry filled. It needs to be ministry filled, where we're serving communities, where we're serving people around us, whether that be in a VBS or a food thing that you're cooking for your community, and just to let them know a lot about your congregation. But when it comes to the summer among young people, I relayed this Sunday. We had our, as we're recording this, our senior Sunday was this past Sunday, and I brought up 6,000 cheese balls in front of the congregation, and that represented it basically in a rounded up numbers from being born to 18 years of life. Okay, so 6,000 days, so to say, and I'll try to do this quickly. If you start taking away days for school, 2,200 days sleep, 2,200 days for sleep, you rapidly deplete the amount of time that you have with your children. If you are a individual and you only go to church one time a week for 1 hour a week, that's 52 hours times 18 years, you're only going to be a total of 40 days in 18 years that you're going to have your child in some sort of worship time. 40 days in 18 years. Swallow that real quick. You can double it over if you go twice or 3 times. My point is this: when the Lord's church and elderships are seeing the feasibility, there are activities and events and spiritual growth for the congregation. Get your family and get your children there. Why? We only have a limited amount of time to feed them spiritually. And that's why we do this in the summer. That's why youth ministers, go out and wear themselves out in the summertime. That's why volunteers, like we talked about last week, they give up their time for vacation Bible schools. We're not doing this just to check a box. We're doing this because of the souls of children and the souls of adults that need to know Jesus more. So yeah, look at the summer just because they're full. But the reason why they're full is they're full so we can serve the Lord and bring this world to him. Guys, I hope it's been a great day. I've enjoyed the conversation with all of you, Caleb and Norwood and Paul. Thank you so much for your love for the Lord's church, and we'll see you again on the next time.
Powered podcast that equips the church, parents, leaders, and the next generation. Hosted by Paul Spurlin, Caleb Sampson, Jerry Elder, and Caleb Norwood. 4 voices, 1 mission: to build stronger ministries, faithful families, and disciples that last. Real talk, real tools, real encouragement,